Hi, Miriam.
Hi, Barbara. It's so
How
good
are
to see
you?
you. I'm doing all right.
Good, good.
Yeah,
It's great to see you.
you as well. I
Thank
miss you
you.
guys in Minneapolis. I realized, I'm here in Portland, um, and I would have been in Minneapolis at this time, but even if I had gone to Minneapolis, if this was occurring, I wouldn't be able to see the people that I was most excited to see. So,
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your move to Portland.
yeah. So I moved to Portland back in November, right before Thanksgiving. Um, I'm from the West Coast originally, and my family's in Seattle, but I do have family in Portland. Um, and After doing Indecent at the Guthrie a couple years ago, I was sought out other productions of it, specifically in towns where I could stay with family and therefore have local housing. And so Portland and Seattle were two of the productions that I auditioned for, and I ended up getting cast in the Portland one. And through coming for auditions and spending time with my cousins and family, I ended up meeting someone who lives here in Portland. And so when I was cast in that show, I decided that I wanted to try living here, and therefore being close to him and being close to family. Um, and It was a big step. I tried to move away from Minneapolis once before, and it will always feel like home to me, even though it wasn't actually initially my home. Um,
How
but
about
it's
the theater communities themselves? Do they feel different?
Um, no, they do feel different in that, for example, there is no Minnesota Jewish theater, and I don't mean that just because that does change the landscape. I think there are fewer sort of niche theaters of the size and scope of theaters that Minneapolis has. What feels similar is the audience. Hunger for interesting professional theater, and what also feels familiar is the the artistic process doesn't change. So I came into a second production of the same play even, and it really didn't feel that different. And also what doesn't feel different is the fact that when you start working with people, they want to work with you again. So I was fortunate enough to be cast in another show here just through, it feels like a similar size city in terms of the theater and the way that connections can lead to other work.
Right, right. And will this next production take place?
I certainly hope so. It was supposed to happen this summer. It's a Shakespeare, it's a Winter's Tale. And they've committed to doing it next summer. So far my 2021 is looking really busy.
Let's step back a little bit. And
Yeah.
what year did you graduate from the program at the U? The
I
University.
graduated in
We'll
2012.
get that right. The University of Minnesota Guthrie BFA Actor Training
Program. I know. Yes, I graduated in 2012.
Okay. And how did you navigate your way into the theater community itself?
I was really lucky in that although the training program is mostly classically based, when I was there, sort of the final project of your senior year was a play that they brought in playwrights and commissioned a play for the members of that company. And the playwright that I worked with, her name is Victoria Stewart, Tori and Corey Hinkle. They were a member of Workhouse Collective, which no longer exists, but was a collective of playwrights that produced each other's work. So Tori wrote the play that I was in. And towards the end of that process, she invited me to be a part of another artistic process with her. And that was sort of the beginning of it all. And through that, I met Janine Colomb, who directed a production of The Diary of Anne Frank at Stages Theater. And then I met you on the phone. I remember being in New York. I was visiting my friend Grant Sorensen and spoke with you on the phone. And that really changed my career in Minneapolis.
I'm sorry, I don't remember that conversation. I
No,
guess I called you.
I remember. Yeah, no. I remember it was. Yeah, I think you were starting to think about Handle with Care, and
Right, and I believe someone must have recommended you as
yeah,
a young actress who could learn Hebrew.
I didn't know I could do that, but apparently I could.
You did it beautifully.
Thank you.
Really. What were some of your favorite roles in the Twin Cities?
That's a good question. You know, the work that I got to do with Workhouse Collective and at the Playwright Center was really important to me, because I think I felt like I didn't quite fit into some of the classical young female tropes. And so at the Playwright Center and starting to work with new plays and the development of brand new characters, that was really exciting for me. So I remember finally a play called Homegrown, which Janine wrote, that Ellen Fenster directed, and then continuing my work in new plays with the Minnesota Jewish Theater. So playing Daphne and Bad Jews and was really fun for me. And of course, Indecent, that role of Hannah and all of the characters that track plays is one of my favorite.
Sure. Do you have a special memory of work at the Minnesota Jewish Theater Company, or did you have a favorite role or two?
I have a number of them. For me, Jessica in Jericho and Daphne in Bad Jews. Those were I think two favorites, both in terms of the role and also the ensemble. Feeling really special in both of those productions. And then in terms of
two very different directors.
Yes, very
both
different.
Of course, I think gave beautiful productions, what they brought.
Yeah. Yes. It's something about the whole team for both of those productions felt really special and unique.
Right. Just a refresher. So Warren Bowles directed Jericho.
Haley Finn directed Bad Jews.
Haley Finn, yeah.
Two of my favorite directors to work with.
They're both, I mean, I feel that they're both amazing directors.
I would agree. And I have gotten to work with both of them several times. So Warren also directed Die, which stands out to me as being one of the most challenging projects I've ever worked on. So I'm grateful to the Minnesota Jewish Theater for that opportunity too. I didn't get to experience a ensemble in the same way as Bad Jews or Jericho, but what a special opportunity for me.
I felt like the characters, the different people that you differentiated and brought to life were so real and true and different in their own, they were all such individuals.
Thank you. I always talk about acting as it all comes from who I am, but getting the opportunity to work with all of the different dialects and different ages of characters, different genders, completely different walks of life, and find the humanity in all of them. I think that's a really a big and one that I loved getting to dive into.
Well, I think you just do it in such a stunning way, really, Miriam.
Thanks,
I
Barbara.
do. One of the roles that you played here at Minnesota Jewish Theater Company was Dr. Ruth
Yes.
Westheimer in
Yes.
Becoming Dr. Ruth. And I'm wondering if you could venture any guess as to what she might say now pertaining to this pandemic in our lives right now. Would she give any advice? And say it as Dr. Ruth.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Well, I will say first that, you know, what was so cool about that project was learning about her life and all of the different phases of her journey to becoming was when she was Dr. Ruth.
She had quite a life.
Yes, and not an easy one.
No.
So in terms of just the idea of overcoming adversity and struggle, she strikes me as someone with such a strong constitution, who and such a positive outlook, even in the face of real heartbreak and struggle. But if I here's what I think she would say. I think she would say, what I want to say to you is stay home, be brave, and have good sex. That's what I think she would say.
Yeah, that's great.
It's not the same without the wig and, you know, Craig Johnson, getting to work with Craig on that. And Foster Johns, who helped me with the dialect, which I've clearly lost quite a bit of. That was a treat.
We just actually used that wig again.
Did you?
Yes. For our recent production of Significant Other.
Another Joshua Harmon piece.
Yes, right. We needed a wig. And about a couple of days before Tech, I mentioned we had two costumers working as a team on that.
Oh, wow.
To Barb Portinga, do you have the wig? We need the wig. We've got to get the wig in. And she said, oh my goodness. I said, you know, I think I have a wig that might work. And it was for Nancy Marby.
Yes. Oh,
and I brought down a bag of about 4 wigs, but this was by far my favorite one. And I checked in with her the next morning and she said, everyone loved the wig. They just loved the wig.
Fantastic.
And I thought
I love that wig also, you know, Laura Adams cut that. It started as not a Dr. Ruth hairstyle, and Laura Adams, who's been in several shows, Laura Adams Stearns. I love that there's just this family of you. She was in Oh My God. She was in the Mikvah monologues that I directed. She was in. She's been in several shows at the Minnesota Jewish Theater. So that feels.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, it takes me to one more question for you. So you directed the Mikvah monologues, and that was your first venture as a director.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that as opposed to acting?
You know, I think my heart will probably stay with acting.
Well, I think that would make a lot of our audiences happy.
I loved getting to work on the Mikvah monologues from a director's perspective. I think the next thing I would want to try my hand at in terms of directing is dialogue, you know, because that's what I love so much as an actor, is digging into scene work. And Mikvah monologues, it was a different kind of piece. It was a piece that I felt like I could direct based on my experience doing monologue style pieces. but I sometimes think I would like to be a play doctor who just comes in and does the scene work stuff, but I get so overwhelmed with talking with Robert Dorfman about his transition from acting to doing more directing, and the way you have to open your mind to consider all of the different design elements and concepts on a much bigger level. I don't feel quite ready to excel at that yet.
Well, I would welcome an opportunity to see you back on stage, and I hope that once things transition to what we might call a more normal life, that you'll have an opportunity to come back here and do that.
I hope so. I plan on it. I've got tickets that were, postponed that are ready to take me back to Minneapolis.
Great,
so.
Great. Well, it's so good to catch up with you.
You too, Barbara. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. We'll have to talk soon.
Sounds good.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.